Toma lived alone on the edge of a dusty planet called Varn-6. His small home sat near the old mining fields, where no one came anymore. He liked it that way. The world was quiet, the machines stayed broken, and he could fix them in peace. Toma didn't talk much, not because he didn't want to. He just didn't have anyone around who cared to listen. He had a routine. Wake up, eat something warm, fix 1 or 2 broken parts brought in by delivery bots, then sit by the old antenna and watch the sky. That was his world. But all of that changed the night the beast came. It started with a noise, not the sharp beep of his tools or the soft wind across the dry hills. This was heavy, like something large dragging its feet across the dirt. Toma sat up quickly. He turned off the lights in his small workshop and looked out the narrow window. The moonlight showed something big moving near the ridge. Its shape was strange, like a large shadow with thick fur and glowing eyes. It walked slowly, as if hurt. Toma's heart began to beat faster. He had heard stories. The patrol in the city always talked about a wild creature called Bryn, a huge, dangerous beast that had escaped from a lab or another world. They said it attacked outposts, broke machines, and even scared off trained soldiers. Toma never believed much of that. Stories often grow bigger than the truth. Still, whatever this thing was, it was coming right toward him. Toma backed away, picked up the old stun rod he kept by the door, and waited. But the creature didn't charge. It didn't growl. It just collapsed. With a loud thud, the beast fell right outside his work area, breathing heavily. Toma stood frozen. The creature was huge, taller than a man even lying down. Its fur was dark and thick, with patches of dust and dry blood. One of its front legs was twisted, like it had been injured badly. Toma knew what he should do. Call the patrol. Let them handle it. But as he looked closer, he saw the beast's eyes. They didn't look angry. They looked tired, hurt, alone. Against all logic, Toma did something strange. He opened the door. The smell hit him first. Wild fur, old blood, and desert dust. The beast didn't move. It simply looked up at him, then rested its head back on the ground. I'm not going to hurt you, Toma said softly, holding up his empty hand. He wasn't even sure the creature could understand him, but something in its eyes, something calm, looked back. He slowly walked toward it, crouched beside the injured leg, and saw the damage. A deep burn mark ran along the side, like it had been hit with a plasma shot. Toma winced. That wasn't something that would heal on its own. I should be running, he whispered to himself. But you didn't come here to hurt me, did you? The beast gave a low sound, almost like a sigh. Toma got up, fetched his medical kit, normally meant for machines, not creatures, and began cleaning the wound. The beast flinched once but didn't strike. It just watched him work. He cleaned the burn, wrapped it in cloth, and gave the creature a small dose of pain duller, again, meant for bots, but maybe it would help. When he was done, he sat down near the door, still unsure of what he'd just done. The creature rested. Its breathing slowed. The night passed without trouble. When morning came, Toma stepped outside again. The beast was still there, curled up beside his tools, but now it looked a little stronger. He made some food, placed a bowl of water nearby, and waited. To his surprise, the beast stood slowly, limped toward the bowl, and drank carefully. Calmly. Toma smiled just a little. Guess you. By the next morning, the beast was gone. Toma stepped outside with a warm cup in his hand, expecting to see the large shape still resting by the shed. But there was nothing, just footprints in the dust leading toward the hills. He felt strange, a little disappointed. Maybe he had spent most of the night checking on the creature, making sure the wound didn't get worse. He didn't even sleep much, and now it had left without a sound. Toma sat near the old antenna, watching the horizon. He told himself it was better. This way, the beast belonged in the wild. It wasn't a pet. It didn't need him. Still, something in him hoped he would see those glowing eyes again. That hope didn't take long. Later that same afternoon, while Toma was fixing a broken vent pipe, he heard the sound again, the heavy steps, the slow breathing. He stood quickly and turned. There it was. The beast had returned. But it wasn't a lone dot in its mouth. Carefully held between two giant teeth was a metal object. It looked like a piece of old tech, maybe a power cell or a damaged relay. Toma blinked in surprise as the beast limped forward, placed the object at his feet, and stepped back. "What's this?" Toma asked. The beast didn't speak, of course, but it gave a soft rumble and lowered its head. Watching, Toma picked up the item. It was part of a solar rig, rare, broken, but valuable. He could repair it and use it to power his backup systems. "You brought me this?" he asked, confused but curious. The beast gave a small nod, or something close to it, then turned and walked away again. That night, Toma sat awake, thinking, why would the creature bring him something like that? Was it just random, a strange habit? Or was it a gift? The next day, the beast returned again. This time, it carried a small metal container. Inside was a handful of smooth crystals, ones used to focus energy beams. Very rare. Toma hadn't seen those in years. Again, the creature placed them at his feet and left without a sound. Now Toma was sure. These were gifts. He didn't know why. He didn't ask for them. But the creature, Bryn, if the stories were true, seemed to want to offer something in return for the care he had given. Over the next few days, the pattern continued. Bryn would appear in the morning or evening, always carrying something new, old parts, alien tools. Once, even a tiny generator that still had working lights. Every time, it would drop the item carefully near Toma, then sit for a moment, silent. Toma's life had changed. Every day, the beast came with new gifts, and every day, Toma found himself talking to it more. Bryn didn't answer, but it listened. It would sit near the shed or under the large rock beside the workshop and stay for hours. Toma didn't feel lonely anymore. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the hills, Bryn didn't come. Toma waited outside, sitting on an old crate, watching the ridge. He even set out water and a small plate of dry food, but nothing came down the path. The wind was quiet. The night felt empty. He sighed and stood up, brushing dust off his jacket. "Maybe you found something better," he said to the sky. He had just turned toward his door when he heard it, a different sound this time. Not heavy steps, but something soft, a whisper of movement. Toma froze. Out of the shadows, someone stepped forward. It wasn't Bryn. It was a figure, small, hooded, and quiet. It walked with grace, not fear, and stopped just outside the circle of light from Toma's roof lamp. Toma reached for his stun rod, unsure. "Who's there?" he asked. The figure slowly lifted its hands to pull back the hood. Underneath was a girl, or something like a girl. Her skin was pale silver, her hair thin and white like threads of ice. Her eyes glowed faint blue, and her ears were long and shaped like leaves. She didn't look like any human Toma had ever seen. "I am not here to harm you," she said softly. Her voice was calm, quiet, and clear. "I came for the one you helped." Toma lowered the rod, confused. "Bryn," she nodded. "His name is Bryn. Yes, he belongs to me." Toma blinked. "You're his owner?" "I am his partner," she replied gently. "We are bonded by my people's law. I raised him. I trained him. But he was taken, escaped." Hurt, she looked toward the ridge, her eyes sad. "I have searched for him a long time." Toma stared. He had heard stories of other species with strong animals, hunters, scouts, guards. But none like this, none that shared such a deep connection. "Why did he come to me?" he asked. She stepped forward slowly. "Because you were kind." Toma looked down at his hands. "I didn't do much. I just patched him up. Most would have turned him in, or attacked, or ran." She looked at him directly now. "But you treated him like someone who mattered." Toma didn't know what to say. For a long moment, they stood in silence. The wind moved gently across the sand. Then she said, "He brought you gifts." Toma nodded slowly. "Yes, every day. Broken machines, crystals, tools. That is how his kind says thank you. Not with words. With actions." She walked closer. "And now, he brings something more," from behind her. The shadows moved. Bryn stepped forward. His wounds were almost gone. His eyes still glowed, but they looked softer now. He moved beside the girl and sat quietly. Toma smiled. "You're late today." Bryn gave a soft growl that almost sounded like a laugh. The girl smiled too. "He missed your voice." Toma chuckled. "Funny. I missed his silence. They stood like that for a while. The human, the alien girl, and the great beast in quiet peace. Finally, Toma asked, 'Who are you?' The girl bowed her head slightly. 'My name is Mira. I come from a world far beyond this one. My people once worked with humans, long ago. But fear broke that bond. We live in silence now, in shadow.' She looked up at him. 'But we watch.' Toma raised an eyebrow. 'Watch for what?' 'For signs of hope. Signs that the bond can return.' Mira looked at Bryn. He was sent not just to escape. He was sent to find someone. Someone kind. Someone strong. Someone who listens. Toma's breath caught in his throat. 'You're saying he was testing me, in a way,' Mira said. 'Not a test of skill. A test of heart.' Toma looked at Bryn again. The beast met his eyes and gave a slow nod. 'I didn't ask for this,' Toma said quietly. 'I know.' Mira replied. 'That's why it matters.' A strange silence followed, the kind that feels full, not empty. Then Mira said something that made Toma's heart beat faster. 'There are more like Bryn, more like me, and they are watching too.' For the next few days, Toma's camp felt different. He wasn't alone anymore. Bryn rested near the shed, always alert but calm. Mira stayed nearby too, sometimes helping Toma with repairs or collecting spare parts from the nearby hills. She didn't speak much unless asked, but her quiet presence brought peace. She watched everything with careful eyes, always gentle, always listening. Toma didn't understand everything about Mira's world or her people, but he knew she didn't lie. She spoke with care, and when she looked at Bryn, he could see a deep bond, like family. Still, a part of him wondered how long this peace would last. That answer came sooner than he wanted. One morning, while Toma was checking a broken energy cable behind his shed, the sky roared. Not thunder. Not wind. Engines. Big ones. Toma stood up fast and looked up. A patrol ship, silver, sharp, and marked with the red sun symbol of Central Command, was dropping down from the clouds. It hovered above his camp with a deep hum, stirring up dust and sand. A searchlight blinked on, sweeping over the area. Toma's heart sank. He ran back toward the front of the camp. Mira had already stepped into the shadows near the rock wall. Bryn stood in front of her, growling softly, but not moving. The patrol ship landed hard. The back hatch opened with a hiss, and 3 soldiers stepped out in white armor, followed by a tall man in a black coat. Captain Nero. Toma had seen him before. He was in charge of the local patrol unit in the city 2 days away. Cold, strict, and known for never trusting aliens. "Toma," Eros said, walking forward with slow, heavy steps. "We saw strange activity here. We picked up signals. Ship landings, beast tracks." Toma stayed calm. "I'm just fixing old machines. Same as always." Eros' eyes scanned the area. He saw the tools, the shed, the antenna. Then his eyes landed on Bryn. The captain stopped. His hand moved slowly toward the weapon on his belt. "That's it," Eros said. "That's the beast, the one from the reports, the one that attacked outposts." "He didn't attack anyone," Toma said quickly. "He was injured. He came here for help." "He's dangerous," Eros replied. "It's not your job to decide what's safe." Toma stepped between them. "He hasn't hurt me. He hasn't destroyed anything. He brought me gifts, machines, tools. He's smart, controlled." Eros frowned. "Controlled?" Mira stepped out from the shadows. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "I control him. I raised him. He is not wild." The soldiers raised their weapons. Eros' hand gripped his own tighter. "Who are you?" "I am Mira," she answered, "and I came for Bryn. He is my bonded. He was taken from my people. We only wanted to leave in peace." "You're not allowed here," Eros snapped. "Your kind doesn't belong on this world. You didn't register. You didn't speak to command. We stayed hidden to stay safe, she said softly. Because people like you hunt what they do not understand. Eero stepped closer, his voice low and ang. Rye, you sheltered. Captain Eero stared hard at Toma, his hand resting on his weapon. You're protecting them, he asked. Toma stood tall, even though fear moved inside him. Yes, he said. They didn't do anything wrong. They came in peace. Eero's eyes narrowed. That beast is not peaceful. It's a Class 3 threat under command law. And that girl, whatever she has entered our world without permission. Mira stepped beside Bryn. We came to see if humans still remembered kindness. She said quietly. Bryn was sent for that reason. Sent, Eero repeated. By who? My people, Mira said. Long ago, we worked beside humans. We built things together. We watched stars together. But one day, your leaders turned away. They said we were too different. They feared us. Toma looked at her with surprise. So it's true. There was peace before. She nodded. Before fear won. Eero scoffed. Stories. Old lies. If your people ever mattered, we'd still know their names. We erased them, Mira said. To protect ourselves, we stopped. Speaking your names, too. Toma stepped forward. But you didn't stop watching. Mira met his eyes. No, we waited. Watched for signs that someone among you still believed in peace. That someone still remembered trust. Bryn found that someone. Toma felt something deep in his chest. A strange mix of honor and worry. Eero shook his head. You expect me to believe that this animal is on some kind of mission. This is nonsense. You're breaking laws, hiding threats, and poisoning minds. I did none of that, Toma said. I helped someone who was hurt. Eero turned to the soldiers. Prepare to take the beast and the girl. Bryn let out a low growl. His large body shifted, muscles tense. Don't, Toma warned. You'll only make it worse. Eero ignored him. You had your chance, Toma. Now step aside. Toma looked at Bryn. Don't fight them. Bryn looked unsure. His tail flicked slowly, but he didn't move forward. Mira spoke next. If you do this, your leaders will never hear our message. We came to speak, not to fight. Eero laughed. You think anyone in command will care about your message? They don't need your kind. They don't need peace. They need control. Toma stepped between them again. Then I'll deliver them. Message. Everyone paused. What? Eero asked. I'll send it, Toma said. To the outer stations. To the traders. To the repair colonies. To the people who don't follow every order from command. They'll listen. You don't have that kind of reach, Eero said coldly. Toma pointed at the old antenna near his roof. I do. That's a deep wave antenna. I use it to send system-wide alerts. It still works. Mira looked hopeful. If others hear it, maybe more will come. Eero growled. I'll break that thing before you say one word. Bryn suddenly stepped forward. This time, no growl. No roar. Just silence. But everyone could feel the warning in the way he moved. Slow, calm, full of power. His glowing eyes locked onto Eero. The soldiers froze. Toma used the moment. He ran to the antenna and flipped the switches. The machine groaned, lights flickered, then a hum filled the air. He pressed a button on the side and spoke into the mic. Ass checked. The antenna buzzed as Toma spoke into the microphone. His voice shook slightly. But he didn't stop. This is Toma, Repair Outpost 17 on Varn 6. I'm sending this message to anyone who hears me. The creature they call a beast is not dangerous. He is smart. He is peaceful. His name is Bryn, and he came here looking for kindness, not war. He looked back at the soldiers and at Mira, who stood tall behind Bryn. He found that kindness. He found trust. He found something that was lost long ago. If we push them away again, we'll lose more than just peace. We'll lose a chance to fix what was broken between our kinds. He ended the message and stepped back. Captain Eero's face turned red. That's enough. He raised his hand. Seize them all. He shouted. The soldiers moved forward quickly. Bryn roared, not in anger, but in warning. He stood like a wall between Mira and the soldiers, teeth showing, but still not attacking. Toma stepped in front of Bryn. Don't. This is what they want, to prove you're dangerous. But you're not. You're better than that, Bryn. looked down at him, breathing hard. His huge chest rose and fell with each breath. But slowly, very slowly, he lowered his head. The soldiers hesitated. Even they saw it. The beast was showing control, restraint. It was listening to a human. Mira stepped forward, her voice calm. You see, he listens. He understands. He is not wild. He is not a monster. One of the soldiers looked unsure. He turned to Eero. Sir, this isn't what the reports said. Eero clenched his jaw. The reports were clear. The beast attacked stations, killed animals, damaged equipment. Mira answered. He only fought when attacked. He was hunted, trapped, and shot at. Would your men not defend themselves? Another soldier lowered his weapon slightly. She has a point, Captain Eero shouted. Stand down is not an order. This is a direct threat. We were told to eliminate it. Toma raised his voice, or maybe they were wrong. Maybe command didn't want the truth getting out. Maybe they didn't want people to know that peaceful beings like Bryn and Mira still exist, and that we could learn from them. The wind blew across the camp. Dust swirled in silence. Then, the unexpected, from the communicator on Eero's arm, a voice spoke. This is Station Command. We received the signal from Outpost 17. Is this true? Eero froze. Command, the voice repeated. Did a human citizen willingly protect the beast and its handler? Toma stepped forward. Yes, I did. Another pause. Then the voice said, We are recruiting a listening team. Do not take action until further notice. The communicator clicked off. Eero looked stunned. He turned to the soldiers. Hold your position. Mira blinked, surprised. They listened? Toma smiled. Some people still care. Bryn let out a deep breath and sat down slowly beside Mira. His eyes stayed on Eero, but without hate. Only calm awareness. Toma walked over and placed a hand gently on Bryn's side. The beast didn't flinch. I think the message reached farther than we thought, he said. Mira nodded. This is the start. Toma looked around the camp, at the soldiers who now looked unsure, at the antenna still buzzing softly, and at the quiet eyes of a creature once feared by all. And he knew. The real fight was never about weapons. It was about trust. And this time, trust had won. The sky above Varn 6 was calm again. Days had passed since the patrol ship left Toma's outpost. The soldiers had taken nothing. No one was arrested. Captain Eero left with a stiff jaw and no words, clearly unhappy but forced to follow new orders. The message Toma sent had reached far, farther than he had imagined. A few days later, small scout ships arrived from nearby settlements. Not patrols, not soldiers, but listeners, engineers, scientists, peacekeepers. They came to see Bryn and Mira. They asked questions, not with fear, but with curiosity. Toma was no longer just a repairman. He had become something more, a bridge. Mira stayed beside Bryn most days, quietly watching as more humans came and went. She answered what she could and smiled softly when children from nearby towns came to see the gentle giant, Bryn, once feared. Now let young ones sit near him and touch his thick fur. Toma fixed machines in the background, as usual, but now people came to him for stories, not just parts. He always told them the truth. I didn't do much. I just treated someone kindly when they needed help. But Mira always said something else. You reminded us that not all hearts are closed. One quiet evening, as the suns dipped low and painted the sky orange, Mira walked to where Toma was. Sitting beside the old antenna, Bryn followed her and lay down nearby. Resting his large head on his paws. Toma looked up from his toolkit. Everything all right? Mira nodded. She held something in her hands, a small box, smooth and silver with glowing blue lines. What's that? He asked. A gift, she said. For my people. For you? Toma blinked. Me? Why? You gave more than help, Toma. You gave trust when no one else would. You opened a door that had been shut for years. She sat beside him and opened the box. Inside was a thin crystal, no larger than his finger, glowing faintly. What does it do? He asked, gently picking it up. It holds voice, she said. Memories, messages from my world. Toma stared at it. Why give it to me? Because they want you to come, Mira said softly, to visit, to learn, to speak for your people. Not the government, not the patrol. You. Toma looked surprised. Me? I'm just a mechanic. You're more than that now, she said with a smile. Bryn chose you first, and now, we do too. He looked at the crystal again. So small, yet it felt heavy in his hand, not with weight, but with meaning. I don't know what I'd say, he whispered. Say what you said to me, Mira replied. Say the truth. Bryn gave a soft sound, almost like a huff of approval. Toma chuckled. You two really think I can represent humans? No, Mira said. But we believe you can. For a moment, no one spoke. The wind moved gently through the camp. The stars began to show. Then Mira stood. Bryn brought you gifts, she said, looking at the beast, because he trusted you. Now, I want to be next. Toma raised an eyebrow. Next, she smiled. To give, to learn, to stay. If you let me, he nodded. Slowly but surely, you can stay, as long as you like. That night, Toma stood beside the antenna one. Last time, he placed the crystal into the speaker and pressed record. This is Toma Varn6. I send this message not as a soldier or leader, but as a person, a human who met someone he was told to fear. But I learned something. Fear lies. Trust is harder, but worth more. He paused. Her name is Mira. His name is Bryn. They were hunted, but they brought peace. They brought gifts. And I want the rest of our kind to know it's not too late to open the door again. He sent the message, and far away, beyond the stars, someone was listening.